My name's Wendy and my channel is 3Rs, Rhymes, Reasons and Written Reviews. The video that I'm doing now is very sad. It's a very sad story and I'm just hoping to bring awareness to it, and it's something that the XJW community I'm sure will find of great interest. Tonight on Australian television, the ABC channel aired a story referring to child sexual abuse within the Jehovah's Witness religion. And my friend actually made me aware of it because I didn't see the actual TV show, but what I'm sharing is the information in the link that my friend has sent forward. So this is my second video tonight. The first video I did on the first story, the lady's name, who is now no longer a witness, but her name was Ms. Lynn, Diane Lynn. Put a link to that video, and it's a very sad story. Since I've done that video, I've had the time to read the next story, which is also very gut-wrenching. The next story is a lady by the name of Sylvia Marinus. Both of these ladies are so courageous for coming forward and sharing their stories. Just such courageous ladies, because that's not easy talking about these type of things. But they've gone public to help bring awareness, no doubt, to this subject of child sexual abuse within the Jehovah's Witness religion, and also the fact that the Jehovah's Witness religion is not taking part in the redress system, where the survivors are to be compensated, and also they're being disrespectful of the suggestions that came forth from the 2016 Royal Commission, different ways of dealing with this, and they're not going ahead with making those changes of getting rid of the two-witness rule, I believe. But there is more information about that, and I hope to do a video on that as well. So, getting back to the second lady by the name of Sylvia Marinus, and her maiden name was Milne, is that she had a beautiful daughter. Her daughter's name was Claire Milne, and Claire passed away at 17 due to having a seizure. So it was unrelated to the child sexual abuse. But sadly, Claire, as well as Sylvia, have had to endure this terrible burden of having been sexually abused. Before Claire passed away at some stage, she wrote an impact statement, which is on the link here that I have, and just with Claire in mind and the sadness that she suffered, with the deepest respect, I just wanted to share this impact statement that she took the time to write. She says, "Sometimes I feel sad and so angry because it was my grandfather. But now I'm older, I think he is a terrible man to do something like that. I feel sad about losing all my best friends at the church because of Opa. I see some of my old friends through my dad, Mum and Dad have split up and I live with my mum. And she goes on to say that might be her brothers live with Dad. Be Zeb and Ben live with Dad, and I see them every weekend. If I hadn't said anything about what Opa did to me, Mum would not feel sad all the time and lost all her friends and family. Just the sadness of this that Claire wrote and signed her name to. So this is also on the, when you go into the link, which I will leave on this video, you will be able to go into her impact statement and see her handwriting. It's just torn at my heart. I'm sure that you will understand that when I've read this story. So just getting back now to Sylvia's story. Let's see if I can just get back to that page. So you just read these stories and it's just, you just can't believe it. And I think what makes it worse, when you find out that you aren't the only one, it's been a lot of other people as well. That's when it becomes a shock, because they make you feel like you're an isolated case, that there aren't others there having these same problems. So with Sylvia's story, her story is similar to that of Diane Lynn, in that abuse started when she was very young. It says that she was 5 years old when her Jehovah's Witness father began abusing her, before he moved up the rank to become a ministerial servant in her Victorian congregation. She says, our family lived such an isolated life that I assumed what happened at our home must be the same as at every other, she said. You can understand that when you're a child. You just don't understand all these things. Even if I had wanted to tell someone about it, I couldn't have told anyone outside the Jehovah's Witness organisation, because we were taught not to trust them. That's a highlighted sentence. And I couldn't tell anyone inside because of my father's position, because of being a ministerial servant, no doubt. Goes on to say, as she grew older, Miss Marinus thought the trauma of her childhood was over, until decades later, when she had her own daughter, Claire. When she was just 3 years old, Claire began revealing details about her grandfather that made Miss Marinus' heart sink, and she grew concerned that her daughter had been abused too. Before I go any further, I will just make it known that this story came forward from the ABC Sunshine Coast room, and the lady doing this story is Tara Cassidy, in case you can see that. And a beautiful picture there of Claire. It's just so beautiful to see Claire, and that her mother is telling her story as well. So I'll just get down to the section here where I left off. So When she was just 3 years old, Claire began revealing details about her grandfather that made Miss Marinus' heart sink, and she grew concerned that her daughter had been abused too. Following their religion's belief, Miss Marinus and her ex-husband took the matter to their congregation's elders, but without 2 witnesses or a confession, the matter was dropped, and no internal investigation was conducted by the elders. Ms. Marinus said she was forbidden from pursuing the matter any further. She knew something terrible had happened to her daughter, and years later, her fears were cemented. Suspicions were right. We were driving, and she told me about what her grandfather had done, in brackets, and the brackets are finished there. And I went absolutely hysterical, and I got the police involved, Ms. Marinus said. I got a policewoman to the door. She spoke to Claire and said she's definitely been abused. But my ex-husband came home and found the policewoman there and told her to leave. He said that we have our own way of dealing with things and wanted it dealt with within the organisation. It then says we went to the elders and had a big discussion with them, and nothing happened. I was told to keep it to myself. Another elder in the congregation who I tried to pursue said, "You've got to keep it quiet and pretend you still love your father." Disturbed by the lack of action by the elders, Miss Marinus took matters into her own hands, resigning from her congregation and making a formal complaint to police. Miss Marinus' father pleaded guilty and was convicted of indecently assaulting a child and received a 12-month suspended sentence. I sent a copy of the charges to the elders, but they still took no action to remove my father. He pleaded guilty, and they still blamed me, she said. After leaving the religion and taking her father to court, Ms. Marinus was shunned by the organisation, her family, and her friends. Her daughter Claire later died at 17 due to an unrelated medical condition and seizure in her home. And she says, I lost my whole family. I was taught as a child that my parent could abuse me with impunity, Ms. Marinus said. And I found out as an adult that if I wanted to get help for the abuse, I would have to lose my connection to my family and my community. But I've become strong and I've got a voice. And even though my daughter's not around anymore, she knows I care. Royal Commission findings. In 2013, a Royal Commission found Ms. Lynn and Ms. Marinus were not alone, with records showing more than 1,000 complaints of child sexual abuse had been made to the Jehovah's Witness organisation. It found the organisation had not reported a single case to the police, later concluding it did not adequately respond to allegations of child sexual abuse, and it did not adequately protect children from the risk of sexual abuse. The Royal Commission later handed down a number of findings in order to make the organisation safer for children. So I'll leave it at that, but I want to just make a few comments. My love and feelings go out for Sylvia, and being a mother and a grandmother, my heart just is torn out that she's lost her daughter Claire. And I just want to make awareness. If you're studying with Jehovah's Witnesses, if you are allowing them to come back to your home and make return visits, bringing their magazines or their books or trying to get you to do a Bible study, please think very carefully. This is a very bad organisation. It has very bad policies. It's only through the people who have been there and have left, or those who have woken up, that you can possibly get the true story from. If they tell you not to listen to people like me, please, while you still have control of your own mind, I am begging you, please don't take it any further. Please ask these people to stop calling, that you don't need them to come anymore. So it only looks good on the outside, but when you get within the organisation and they get a hold of you, it's not good. So please think very carefully. So the link for this story, this new story, will be in the section in my comment below, and also in the section with the description. And I know that you'll want to see this story for yourself and read through it. So I'll leave it at that, and I'll say good night, and I'll see you next time in the next video. Please leave your comments. If you have some comments, leave your comments below, and please like and subscribe. Thank you. Good night.